Last time we stood in the great hall of the Tua. A choice was made, a vow was cast, and then silence. Until now. We meet Emily Stewart, 16 today, just a girl in a town like any other, but the drawings on her page say otherwise. Episode 2, 16th birthday. Morning light spilled across Emily's room, catching on papers scattered like falling leaves, sketches pinned to the walls, pencils rolling across the desk, half-filled journals stacked on the nightstand. It wasn't messy so much as alive. Every corner humming with ideas, half-finished drawings and words she hadn't decided if she liked yet. Emily Stewart, 16 today, a dreamer, an artist, a girl who lived half in her head and half in the world around her. Who's smart enough to keep it up, but too busy sketching in the margins of her math homework to ever shine at school. Her teachers called her creative. Her friends called her silly. She called herself unfinished. She sits up, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Her journal was still open beside her, pencil tucked in her fist as though she'd fallen asleep mid-thought. She glances down at the images, a little startled by the detail. The strange figures stared back, tall, sharp-eyed, with ears that tapered like blades. She didn't remember drawing all of them. Maybe she had. Maybe she dreamed them. She shook her head and closed her journal on her pencil. No more dreaming. Today was a big day. Her phone buzzed. Birthday texts, a dozen emojis from Zoe, a simple line from her dad already at work. Happy birthday, Em. Be good today. I'll see you tonight. Emily sighed and dropped the phone back on the covers. Same thing every year. Downstairs, the smell of pancakes drifted up, and the voices she recognized talking and laughing. She smiled. Uncle David was here. He always was. Every birthday, no matter what. She swung her legs off the bed, brushing her hair out of her face, and gathered her sketches into a pile like secrets she wasn't ready to share. Today was her birthday, ordinary, normal, at least for now. The kitchen smelled like butter and syrup. Sunlight poured through the window, catching on a neat stack of pancakes and little notes and sketches magneted on the fridge. Emily's mother stood at the stove, flipping another round, while David leaned against the counter with his coffee, jacket still on, looking like he'd just come from somewhere important. He was a man who always looked like he had someplace to be. Pressed shirt, watch glinting, eyes alert. Today, though, he was smiling. The edge had softened. He adored his niece, and it showed in the way his eyes lifted to watch the staircase between sips of coffee. On the fridge, and scattered on the kitchen table, were some of Emily's drawings, some playful, some intricate, most of them elves. Tall, sharp-featured, strange symbols curled in their margins. David reached out and touched one with a finger. She's been doing this long? He asked. Her mother glanced over her shoulder, amused. They're good, right? Funny thing, she just started getting into these elf drawings the last few weeks. She's always sketching something, but this is new. David's smile thinned a fraction as he studied them. He picked up one of them from the table, a regal, tall elf in a long golden robe, crown perched like a starburst. The lines were bold, too sure for a girl who was just starting. Mind if I keep this one? He asked lightly, folding it once. Her mother shrugged, sliding pancakes onto a plate. She's got 1 million like that. Take whatever you want. David tucked the drawing into his jacket pocket, eyes lingering on the crown. His jaw flexed once before he looked back at the stove. Then footsteps thundered down the stairs as Emily burst into the kitchen, hair flying, still pulling her sweater over her head. She kissed her mom on the cheek and flung her arms around David. "Happy birthday, kiddo," he laughed, sweeping her into a hug and lifting her off the floor. Just for a moment. For all his sharp edges, he was a soft place for her to land. The kitchen table was already set, plates stacked high with pancakes, syrup glinting on the morning sun. Emily dropped into her chair, scooping 3 onto her plate before her mother even sat down. David sipped his coffee, watching her for a moment. Then almost casually he asks, "So, Em, these elf drawings, what's got you sketching those all of a sudden?" Emily froze for a half second with her fork in the air. "I don't know, they just come to me, I guess." There was a quiet moment. David's tone just a little too careful, a little too sharp. Rachel raised an eyebrow and smiled. "My God, David, are you interrogating her? It's breakfast, not an interview." David caught himself and chuckled, setting his mug down. Fair point. He grabbed a piece of toast, settling back into the chair. "I'm just curious, that's all." Emily ignored him, shoving a forkful of pancakes into her mouth with all the grace of a starving wolf. Rachel shook her head. "Easy, Emmy. You're going to make yourself sick." David laughed, leaning back. "You can eat, I'll give you that." Emily grinned around a mouthful. "That's what Andrew always says." David's eyebrow arched. "Andrew?" Rachel slid another stack of pancakes onto the table, pouring herself a cup of coffee. "Yes, Andrew, that's Emily's boyfriend." Emily nearly chokes. "Mom, stop! He's not my boyfriend." David pulled out his phone, thumb tapping the screen as if scrolling through an app, his voice calm, amused, with a hint of guard in it. "Who is this Andrew guy?" Rachel played along, a mischievous spark in her eye. "He's on the football team. Big, strapping boy." "Mom!" Emily groaned, cheeks burning. David looked down at his phone, deadpan. "I see. Football team. Goes to Emily's school. Rachel grinned into her coffee. "That's the one." Emily rolled her eyes, burying her face into her plate. "Stop, both of you!" But not even the embarrassment could slow her down from polishing off her pancakes. Eventually, plates were scraped clean and coffee cups refilled one last time. David rose from the table, checking his watch. "Well," he said, grabbing his jacket, "time to make birthday girl's morning unforgettable." He walked outside and leaned against the sleek black car in the driveway, arms crossed, sunglasses perched on his nose like he stepped out of a spy movie. The glossy vehicle gleamed in the morning light, out of place in the quiet suburban street. Emily squealed when she saw it. "No way!" she grinned. "You're taking me in that?" David shrugged and unlocked the door with a flick of his wrist. Perks of having a cool uncle. Rachel leaned out of the porch with a coffee mug in hand. "You mean suspiciously well-funded uncle," she teased. David just smirked. "Have a good day, sweetheart," Rachel said, kissing Emily's cheek and smoothing her hair. "Big dinner tonight. I even bought candles." Emily rolls her eyes fondly. "You always buy candles." Rachel grinned. "Tradition." Emily climbed into the front seat like royalty. For once, she didn't mind the attention. Today was already starting to feel different. They made a quick stop a few blocks away to pick up Emily's best friend Zoe, who came bouncing down the driveway in a hoodie 2 sizes too big and a glitter-covered backpack slung over one shoulder. She stopped short when she saw the car, and David opening the door for her. "Oh my God," she whispered as she slid in. "This is like secret agent level." Emily groaned. "Don't feed his ego." Zoe leaned across her. "Hi, Mr. Stewart. It's good to see you again." Her face gleamed the smile of a young girl's crush. David offered a smile. Always good to see you, Zoe. You ready for the royal ride? Zoe melted. I was born ready. She slid in, bumped her arm against Emily as they break into giggles. They drive on. A few blocks later, Emily gasped, Look, there's Andrew. He was walking to school with Brian and Logan, joking and nudging each other in that chaotic way boys do when they think no one's watching. Uncle David, she begged, already reaching for the window switch. Come on, please, it's my birthday. He gave her a long look, then exhaled. Fine, but don't tell your mother I encouraged this behavior. David slowed the car and eased to the curb. The engine purred like a secret. The boys paused, glancing at each other, unsure. The window rolled down. Emily sat, giving her best cool expression. Seriously? Andrew asked. David rolled down his window. Get in before I change my mind, he said, calm and cold. That was all they needed. The doors opened and they piled in wide-eyed like they'd just been invited into a Bond film. Is this bulletproof? Brian asked. David didn't answer. He just raised a brow in the mirror and gave the faintest smile. Inside the car, the noise level rose. Laughter, bad jokes, music thumping low from someone's phone. Emily and Andrew sat shoulder to shoulder, legs not quite touching. Zoe elbowed Brian, while Logan was just reading a book. David kept one eye on the road and the other on the rearview mirror. There was a car behind them. Not unusual. It was the morning traffic, except it was still there 10 minutes later, and still there after he changed lanes, and still there after a turn he didn't need to make. David's smile didn't change, but his fingers moved, subtle and swift. He tapped a control on the center console. A quiet chime sounded, low, mechanical. Emily glanced up. Hey, you just passed the school. The others looked out the window, confused. The campus was already disappearing behind them. Uncle David? He didn't answer right away. Then, with a calmness that felt unnatural in the moment, he spoke. Buckle up, kids. Emily, confused. What? I said buckle up. We're being followed.